Welcome back to On the Mark, Financial Literacy with Mark Zimmern. This is part 2 of our residential real estate series with Mike Bell.
You mentioned that real estate agents have fiduciary responsibility. What is their fiduciary responsibility?
So in California, and I believe in every state, it's defined. And as a matter of fact, this is so important. It's the first thing that people see and sign when you're working with a listing agent, which is representing the seller, or when you're representing when you have a buyer's agent. And in California, it's defined as it's a fiduciary duty of utmost care, trust, integrity, and confidentiality. It explains the duties on the seller side, which is basically all of that, and also on the buyer side and the seller side. And then it explains what dual agency is. And if you read it, you're like how? But basically, when you sign that, you're agreeing that you've read it. And you've effectively agreed that this could happen to you. So, I think this is one of the most important things in real estate in California, but they won't take it away. And I'll tell you why. Our industry is a little bit broken. Real estate is a great avenue for somebody who barely has a high school education, or it's an industry full of test prep companies and all this other stuff. And they know, get this is a crazy stat. They know that 87% of all brand new agents will fail in the first 5 years. That's a National Association of Realtors statistic. 87% will fail. So you hire somebody that's been in the business for up to 5 years, there's an 87% failure rate that they're going to be out of the business. The thing is that the state of California makes a ton of money on this whole industry. And they actually, the test to get into it is not that hard. It's kind of dumbed down. I mean, I passed it. Actually, if you're a CPA in California, I don't think you have to take any of the prereqs. You can just sit for the exam.
But I will agree with you that, I in my practice, I have a fair amount of exposure to real estate agents. And a lot of real estate agents, especially when they start out, are usually doing it as a second career, not usually out of college or out of high school. And then they're hoping that they will get busy enough that they can quit their first job. So that is a fair assessment of the real estate agents. And I think also something you brought up that's really important, and we talk about it all the time. A lot of people people come to me as a CPA and they trust me that what I'm giving them is perfect and accurate and the best it could be. But you can't delegate the responsibility to somebody. You can delegate the preparation. You can't delegate the liability. And so the issue is that everyone should always read thoroughly anything before they sign it. And especially and ask questions. I mean, just because the real estate agent's nice or a friend or any other things, or some of the things you warned about, I think that you should ask questions to make sure you fully understand the process before you sign anything. And I'm assuming you would agree, Mike.
Absolutely.
Why would you want to, what's this concept of trying to out-negotiate your agent, and what does that mean?
Oh, that's a great question. So, look, when you're hiring a realtor, you're hiring a professional negotiator. If you can out-negotiate a professional negotiator, that's going to say a lot about it. So what I talk about in the book is try to negotiate your commission with your agent. If your agent falls apart, and if you can out-negotiate them and grind them down, guess what? You're not even a professional negotiator. I'm sorry, you're not. We literally go to negotiation school all the time in real estate. But if you can grind your realtor down on their commission, guess what? All of these other realtors are going to grind them down on your price. That's the way your sale is probably going to happen. So I'd be very careful if you can't. Now, I know everybody wants a discount and all that other stuff, but look, at the end of the day, like if you're trying to save 1 or 2 percentage points, that agent, if they fall apart on that, they're going to destroy the value of your home probably. Look, it's crazy. This business is crazy. When I represent buyers, I pick up the phone. You'd be surprised what the other agents will say. So, for example, if a house has been on the market for 30 days, I'll ask the listing agent, how low will your seller go? Now, that's a question that the seller's agent is not supposed to answer unless they have specific permission from the seller. You'd be surprised. At least half of them will answer the question. Just give me this, or this is what the offer is worth. This is what the counter offers were. They have no idea how motivated my buyer is. My buyer may be thinking that's a fantastic deal for them. They may be willing to overpay or pay over. But, the listing agent is supposed to really be protecting the seller's price. Oftentimes they don't. And usually it's rookie agents that don't know how to negotiate, and they just want to close the deal. And they'll just tell you what to price. You'd be surprised I'll have a client that says, geez, I'll buy that place for $1.5 million. And the listing agent says, my client will take $1.4 million. They just lost $100,000.
Don't go anywhere. We'll be right back after a quick break from today's sponsor.
Crave flavor? Come fly with Los Aves Taco Market, where bold tacos and big vibes take off daily. From street-style tacos to signature bowls and burritos, everything's made fresh with layers of bold, Mexican-inspired flavor. Score hot deals every week, like Taco Flight Thursdays or half-off burritos on Mondays. Rooted in Aztec legend, driven by flavor, Los Aves is more than tacos. It's a vibe. Visit us at 525 Beckett Road, Swedesboro, New Jersey 08085, or call us at 856-214-3413.
So again, you mentioned this earlier. You get what you pay for. I have people that think they can sell their own house to save the 4, 5, 6% that the agent's going to cost. And the first question I always say to them is, how do you know you won't get more than 6% on the thing from a professional agent? So I think it's great advice. I mean, there's a thing in business, you spend money to make money. It's kind of the same thing when you're doing this kind of thing. You need to spend the right money and have the right professionals to protect you. And I think that's very admirable and good advice that you're giving. So in today, people are staging their houses. It's going to have open houses or other things. You seem to indicate that open houses tend to benefit the agent more than the seller.
So there's some crazy statistics about open houses. First of all, the National Association of Realtors, they put out 160,000 questionnaires to people that just bought and sold a house, and they ask them all these different questions. Let me see the number here. They ask, it's a brand new stat here. They ask 135 questions to people that just bought and sold a house, and they ask them all sorts of questions. But the one question they don't ask people is, did you buy this house through an open house? You would think that's like one of the most important questions. They don't ask it. We don't really know what that number is. But if you take a look at my chapter, it probably is a 2% chance of selling your house because of an open house. That's probably the statistic. However, the National Association of Realtors says it's 8% to 12%. But when they asked that question, they said, how did you find the house? From an open house sign, any kind of sign, a banner, and what they do is they mix in new construction. New construction in the United States accounts for about 10% of the housing stock. Guess how new construction is sold? With banners and signage and all this other stuff. If you talk to any realtor, any successful realtor, ask them, hey, I want to ask you a question, and just be really blunt with me. Do open houses sell homes? And they'll all say the same thing. Open houses are great for leads. It's great for me to market myself into somebody's living room. And we all know in real estate that usually every house, as a realtor, when you sell a house, it should generate 2 really good leads. And guess what? Potential sellers go to open houses because they want to meet the realtor. They want to kick the tires. They want to see what's going on in the marketplace. Hey, we're professional negotiators. We're professionals here. We all know that. Everybody knows that when you get into real estate, you want to do open houses because people come to you, and to have a face-to-face interaction is so much better than having something over the phone or via email. And it's a great way to generate leads. Look, if you're not convinced, let me convince you that open houses are a waste of time. During COVID, in March of 2020, open houses were illegal for an entire year. All across the United States, they were illegal. Guess what happened to the real estate market in that first year of COVID? We have never seen values go up and sales go up ever in our industry than during that time, and there were no open houses.
So I know that I live in a development, and I know that when people have open houses, a lot of neighbors go and they want to see what the other person did to their house, and to see if their house may be worth more than what they're asking for the house. Are you saying that if my real estate agent says I should have an open house, that I should say no, or what is the pushback on that?
So, look. Open houses, if you're going to do an open house, I mean, you don't want to open house a house to death, as we call it. If you do it over and over again, it just kind of signals to the world that you haven't sold the house. If you're going to do an open house, maybe do one on the first weekend, and that's fine. And the argument that realtors have is that open houses really generate more demand because all of a sudden you see all these other people that want to see the house. And, it kind of creates this, atmosphere. Okay, that's true. But what's interesting about open houses is, and realtors know this, open houses are really dangerous. If you look at your listing contract, it will say that we're not, in California, and I'm sure it says this in the other states, that we're not responsible for what happens in an open house. We don't provide insurance either. The number one thing that gets stolen at open houses is prescription medication. We are trained to tell people, if you have prescription medication in the bathroom, get rid of it. Put it in the trunk of your car and drive away. It used to be put it in the trunk of your car, and then during open houses, people would go into garages and pop the trunk because they knew that that's where everybody put their stuff that they didn't want stolen.
That's something I never even thought about, but that's a good point.
Yeah. And the other thing is, okay, so you're going to hire somebody and you're going to tell them, okay, you can do an open house. We'll be back in 4 hours. I don't want anybody using the bathroom. Okay. And the realtor says, yeah, absolutely. Don't worry about it. Guess what happens? People use the bathroom. I hate to say it. And they don't even ask. They just walk in. And you have no idea who's coming into your house. And on top of that, it's dangerous. So they do a survey for realtors also. And you want to hear something crazy? All right, 49%, according to the National Association of Realtors, 49% of agents arm themselves at open houses. They arm themselves with pepper spray, a gun, a knife, or a taser, in that order. We know that it's actually dangerous. You have no idea who's coming into your house. It astonishes me in LA, where they have 20, 30, $40 million homes, and they have open houses and people just walk right in. And you may think, oh, there's a Ring doorbell or something like that. Yeah, that doesn't stop any of that. But our industry is ripe with so many stories about assaults, people getting assaulted. Look, I know I look young, but I've been doing this for 27 years. And when I got into the business 27 years ago, I remember in September, they had Realtor Safety Day, and it took off because people were like, oh my God, we need all this information. It went to Realtor Safety Week for 2 years, and the entire month of September right now is Realtor Safety Month. And we are barraged with safety tips. And it's crazy out there what we do. We meet strangers in empty houses.
Never thought about it that way. Another thing, so moving on, you talked about providing a digital layout of a home. What do you mean by that, and what does that entail?
This is one of the questions you should ask your real estate agent when you're interviewing them to sell your house is, what is the marketing going to look like? And one of the things I talk about is, of course, you should have professional photos. But the other thing you should have is a digital layout. Because the vast majority of buyers, when they're searching for real estate, they're going to do it online. They're not waiting for the newspaper boy to show up for the print ads that take 4 days in advance to get going. They're going to go online. I advertise just because my company just pays for it, but I think it's a waste of money. But people search online. They have a short attention span. A layout is very, very important. Now, sometimes a layout can be a double-edged sword because you may have a really, really challenging layout. Maybe you have too many stairs. Maybe you have too many, like I was just in a house yesterday. I was showing a $2 million house that has stairs in the bedroom to go to the closet. I mean, God, can you imagine that? But layouts are really important because people want to know where their kid's going to be, maybe a grandparent, where their office is going to be, stuff like that. Most agents don't pay for it. They're too cheap. To be really blunt, it costs like $300 to have somebody draw out your floor plan.
Like if you're in a home that was maybe in a development, you might have the original floor plan for the house, and you would include that as part of the marketing material.
Yeah, absolutely. Especially if you have a really good floor plan. If you have a really great layout, you should have your floor plan turned into a PDF and a JPEG readily available for the public to see. Now, this is another little tip I want to let you know about, but once you sell your house, the buyer will probably ask you to pull down the photos, and they usually ask you to pull down the floor plan. I would feel the same way.
What about aerial, drone footage? What about staging your house? A lot of realtors recommend staging your house. What's your feelings on those?
I think the drones are very important. That's kind of wrapped into the professional photography. Most agents in the nation, if you're going to do professional photography, drone photos, and a layout, you're spending about $1,000. You're paying somebody $10,000 or $50,000. They can afford it. If you have an agent that squawks at that or says that they're going to take pictures with their cell phone, you may want to just kind of wonder about that. In terms of staging, though, look, this is the thing about staging and why it's so important. Most people don't have an imagination, and they say they do, but they don't. But the other thing about staging is, look, when you have a showing, usually it's the real estate agent, maybe your listing agent will be there, the buyer's agent will be there, maybe it'll be the couple that wants to buy it. They may have a kid, the other agent may have an assistant, and they may have a parent there that's actually going to be helping to finance. You can have 6 people in a room. It starts feeling really small if you don't have the right staging. But the other thing is, like, empty houses, I think are really, you have to be very careful with empty houses, because a room that doesn't have anything in it actually looks a lot smaller than a room that has maybe a couch and a few chairs and a few tables, because when you have items in that room, it actually defines the space and it actually makes it look bigger.
I know that I was told by a real estate agent that the best way to have a house, besides staging and that, is to take down all your personal items and stuff, and so that the person who is looking at the house can envision themselves living in the house as opposed to your family living.
Correct. And it's also distracting because people will come in when they see a house and they look at the wedding photos and stuff like that. You want them looking at the house. Yeah. Generally, you want to depersonalize it, or if you have political stuff up, or it's just you kind of. Now, if you notice, if you have a professionally staged home, they're very neutral. The colors are neutral. The style is very neutral. There's a lot of grays and beiges and whites in a house, because those you don't want something that pops too much. You don't want to have crazy colors because most people don't like that. But it's like kind of a vanilla type, nice vanilla type, a presentation appeals to the most amount of people.
I will share that I am a serial stalker on the internet of looking at houses in my neighborhood and other neighborhood, not just because I just like seeing them. And I have to say that I'll see somebody who has some kind of really weird color, like black walls, and I'm thinking, like, would I buy a house for that price with something that I dislike that much? I mean, they're extremes, and I think you're right. I think more neutral stuff tends to be something that people then can add their own color to.
It's interesting what you just said. It's a negative when you see something that's like the wrong color, but it's like the easiest thing to fix in a house. It's not that big of a deal. But that's just the way most people are. When they see something, it triggers something negative in their head. And like I said, people have ADD when they're looking at real estate. And they have short attention spans, and you can only capture them for a little bit of time. And the way the brain works when you're looking at so much stuff, you're looking for reasons to skip. You're looking for reasons to go to the next house. You're looking for reasons to reject the house. It's just the way, because nobody wants to waste their time. So if you have an agent that puts negative stuff in there, bad photos, not enough photos, maybe not even a photo of the kitchen, which I think is a complete mistake, the brain goes, oh, why isn't there a photo of the kitchen? It must be a horrible kitchen.
Or the outside and not the inside. That's another one.
Yeah. And especially if they have to make an appointment and stuff. People are busy. People that buy homes, they're busy. They don't want to guess.
Yeah. So what else have we covered, Mike, that you'd like to mention to our audience?
Yeah, there's so many moving parts to selling a house. Unfortunately, most of the time, as a home seller, you may not even know that certain things are being missed or screwed up. You're better off with somebody who does this over and over again, has a great success record, and gets it done. One of the tips that I wanted to kind of really drill down into is that whoever you hire, if you want to know what the presentation of your house is going to look like, look at what they've done to the other properties. Now, say for example, you're interviewing an agent and they just have crappy photos. Your house is going to have crappy photos. I hate to say it. And if you're looking at how they sold other houses and there's no drone photos, but you ask them for a drone photo, well, they're reluctantly going to maybe do a drone photo, but chances are it's not automatic. Look, none of this stuff is automatic. It usually is with a really great realtor. But for the most part, most agents will not automatically do a professional floor plan, drones, or professional photos, or staging. It's just the way it is.
Well, I think that goes back to before you sign the contract. Totally understand what you're signing and what the process is from this day until the closing of your house.
I was wondering if you might be able to share how and where someone could access your book and also reach out to you individually.
Sure. If you want to go to my website, you can actually stream it and listen to it for free. michaelbbell.com. If you want, shoot me an email. If you're thinking about selling your house, I'd be happy to mail you a signed author copy. You're not bothering me at all. Just shoot me an email and let me know where you're at. I like to spread the word. I mean, I have this dream of changing the industry. I don't know if I will, but I would love to change this industry for the better. I think that a book like this is going to help people. The stats are there. If this is very little of this book is opinion based. It's all statistics based, and I back up everything that I say in this book. But if you'd like to have a copy of it, that would be great. You can also, if you want to buy a copy on Amazon, just type in seller mistakes, you'll find it.
Well, we want to thank you, Michael, for joining us today. It's been a pleasure having you. We are very grateful for your knowledge and your experience that you've shared with us. We'd like to invite everyone to like today's episode and to follow the podcast. Thank you for joining us today, and we'll see you next Wednesday. All content provided on this podcast is for informational purposes only. No representations are made as to the accuracy or completeness of information that is presented. On the mark, its owners, collaborators, and guests will not be liable for any errors or omissions, nor for any losses, injuries, or damages from the use of this information.